Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying them, I've got to review them. So this review is going to be S.H.I.E.L.D. #1, apparently the beginning of the end, by Jonathan Hickman, and I just read it a second ago, Dustin Weaver. So there you go. There may be some of you who have read the first S.H.I.E.L.D. series by Jonathan Hickman and are anxiously awaiting what happens in this second series. I myself popped in and out of the other S.H.I.E.L.D. series. I think I read the first one, maybe the second one, and then flipped through them once in a while. But generally they were too complicated and too out there in the mind space for me to fully jump on board with. So I didn't read all of them. And I was expecting that as a new #1, I would be able to jump in on this one and understand what has happened so far and what is going to happen soon, right? New start, fresh start, #1. And I'll say that kind of happened. In this story, you get a lot of flashbacks and flash forwards, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to accurately tell you exactly what happens. Looks like Michelangelo, the famous artist from back in the day, some kind of ascended being who can travel throughout time, and then Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton are two factions of people who believe, one believes that you make your destiny, and the other one believes your destiny is preconceived. And so they end up going to war over that. It seems like they have already been going to war. And so partly through this story is Michelangelo traveling through time and bringing along this child of God who happens to be the baby of a deviant in the deviant capital Ashumia of 1630. Michelangelo saved him as a baby and took him to the sinkhole in Bendy time, which is here, if you know what that is. And there, the baby, I think, made a bird into a woman who became the baby's mother, or surrogate mother, until he became old enough to travel with Michelangelo throughout time. Yes, so Isaac Newton also kills Galileo in this one, and there's an explanation about deja vu being part of quantum mechanics. Michelangelo shows Leonardo da Vinci all the things he needs to understand to be able to understand time travel and quantum mechanics. And then it looks like there's some Starks, or maybe a Stark, and Nathaniel Richards from the future who are going to stop this war from happening. Okay. There is really one really awesome line or paragraph in here. I'm going to read it to you. It's really cool. It's probably the peak of this whole thing. I read it out loud to my wife as I read it because I thought it was that cool of an explanation. So Leonardo was born before the phrase deja vu came out, so Michelangelo is trying to explain what deja vu is to him by showing him a piece of all knowledge and then explaining it. It says, in what you call the future, scientists theorize that this phenomenon is called by a recall anomaly, a type of crossed wire between long and short-term memories. This is incorrect. Deja vu is actually a quantum resonance across parallel universes. Moments where, in actuality, you exist in the exact same spot doing the exact same thing in another reality. And deja vu is much more common at a younger age than older because quantum divergence increases with age because you get more choices and there's more tangents. So that was awesome. That was very cool. The thought that you could be doing the whole point of deja vu is that there's another one of you in another universe doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, and it's a quantum divergence, quantum resonance across parallel universes. that's really cool to me anyway. I thought that was a really well thought out scientific theory as to why deja vu happens, because a lot of people do believe that there are parallel universe theory out there. So let's talk about my feelings about this issue. I was really disappointed. This is supposed to be some of the best comic books produced around, right? That's all you hear from anyone that tells you about them. And this is my second foray into the S.H.I.E.L.D. universe, and I'm lost. Again, I could barely follow what was going on in here. I don't know who these people are or why it matters, really. And then there's some really out there concepts and ideas in this whole book that you can't just read through and get it and go through it. I mean, I think you have to study it. You have to get the entire series from the very first issue up until this one and really digest it, each one, and once you have an understanding of that part, get on to the next, and etc., etc. It's not a fun read-through book, and I guess that's the kind of book that I'm looking for, is something fun that I can generally read through in most cases without trouble. That's not what this one was. So again, I will like I did with the first series, I'll probably buy the first issue, flip through the second issue, maybe buy it, and then after that probably drop it, because it's way too confusing and too much work to enjoy. I mean, the artwork's good. There's some incredible pinups in the back that tell you all about who these characters are and what their powers are. There's history mixed in with the history of this series at the same time, and there's some really interesting viewpoints on these famous historical characters, right? And I've heard that this universe generally intersects with the main 616 universe, and this could be early 616 history, but it's so out there and so weird that it's hard to get. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this comic a 2 out of 5. It was okay. I wouldn't call it good. It definitely wasn't great, and it's not something that I'm really loving. I really wish that this just spoke to me and that I was on board from the beginning, but that's just not the case. I love Jonathan Hickman's writing, and this was good art. I mean, you have some really good drawings here. There's Leonardo da Vinci, and here's Michelangelo working on David. I mean, that stuff's great. Those are good images, good pictures, right? Halfway done with David. That's really cool, chiseling out of marble or whatever it is. But it's just not a good book. So there you go, 2 out of 5. Check out my other reviews at Spidey207 on YouTube or Peteparker elsewhere. You can always send me a message or a comment, and I'll respond to it as best as I can. But until then, thanks for listening. Talk to you later.